Live. Good deal. How you doing, YouTube family? What's going on? This is my big guy right here. This is Buckaroo. This is Buck. We're over here at the cabin over here in Montana, and I wanted to reach out to you guys. You may have noticed I changed the name of our of this channel to Traditional Man. And why is that? What's with the traditional man? What is a traditional man? Well, growing up, we did things a certain way, right? And we always had certain expectations of men, certain expectations of women, and certain expectations of who we are as a society and as people, and what we're expected to be able to achieve, and what we need to do to make sure that our families are taken care of. Okay, and what the direction I want this channel to go in is a little bit about permaculture, a little bit about homesteading, a little bit about roles, and yeah, about roles in general, as far as what we're supposed to be doing as a homesteading family, out here in, the far northern Rockies of the United States, and out here on our land, and who's supposed to be doing what and how, right? So it's not just that, hey, it's Jeff's the man. He's supposed to be providing, and this is gonna go in the face of and not really go in the face of, but this is going to maybe probably aggravate a little bit some people that are on this channel, only because most people on this that subscribe to this channel for permaculture perspective, they don't understand the ways that things actually are in this world, the way that things actually operate, and the way that things actually run. So the direction we're taking this channel in is going to be a direction of homesteading, a direction of provision for your family, and how to do different basic things that, just bottom line, men just ought to know how to do, you know, and that's where we're headed. Whether that takes livestock, whether that takes blacksmithing, whether that's welding, whether that takes being able to grow your own foods, raise your own food on your own property, how to get your own property. Most of you may not understand, but I'm actually in the finance game. And how to do that stuff from home too, because look, we live in a modern age. We have modern internet out here in the middle of the sticks. So the thing is that you can do all this stuff from home. You can still have work from home, and be able to live out here in the country, and support a family, and have these sustainable lifestyles with a wood burning stove, and all this stuff, right? Our property has outbuildings. It's got tons of trees. It's got tons of game. All morning I've been sitting out here watching the turkeys and the deer come back and forth across my right outside my window here, right? So the types of things that we teach our kids, and we're going to talk about kids. We're going to talk about family. Guys, you guys are live, so welcome. And if you have anything that you'd like to say, we can start a discussion here, right? But if you're just getting on, what I'm doing is I'm letting everybody know what we're the direction that we're taking the channel in. Okay, I want to gear this channel more toward the stuff that I know how to do, the stuff that I like to do, the stuff that is more important to me, as far as being able to create a sustainable lifestyle from places that you love and enjoy, as well as places that are safe. Type in the chat where you're from, and we'll talk about it. Type in the chat where you're from, and see what it's like where you are, and then we can talk about. Then we can also talk about what challenges you may have into getting the dream property that you want, right? And coaching is a big thing that we do as well. I own a company called Smart Wealth, and we do a lot of coaching, and financial coaching, and helping people to get where they want to be financially, and in hopefully a short period of time. And so that's just part of the whole thing, right? None of this stuff out here is free, and so things have to be done that make sense, right? And so I have a ton of ways that people can monetize their garage or monetize their um, uh, start a small business from home, stuff like that, and things that they can do to create the lifestyle that they want, so they're not stuck in that disgusting 9 to 5 mentality that frankly, I can't even do. Honestly, I just can't do it. I've tried years and years. I've tried. I mean, I was raised in the oil and gas industry, and I've tried to do it, but it's just not for me. I don't believe that as men, that's what we're supposed to be doing at all. I mean, I get out here, walk across this land out here, and there's freedom in that, right? There's freedom in being able to say, this is my ground, this is my land, this is something that the Lord gave me, and I'm able to give to my children, and how to protect it, from the government, how to protect your land from property taxes, for example. I mean, who else here thinks it's unfair that if you have property that you know if you lose your job or something, or income stops, the government can take it away from you even though you own it? That doesn't, and sell it and give it to somebody else. That's wrong. And that's what happens with property taxes. They try to make it to where you never own anything. Well, we can talk about stuff on this channel whereby you'll be able to see how to negate that. You see, so what I would hope that you would do is share this channel with other people that are like-minded, other people that want to create a lifestyle, create an income, create a situation for themselves like we have here, where I can sit in my cabin all day and work in this part of the house, and everybody else is back over there. Now I will be building another building outside of here, another cabin that's going to be just for my office. Okay, because this office right here is connected to bedrooms and stuff on the other side, and the whole other part of the house is back yonder. But on this side, this is all my space, right? So I've got this black screen right here because sometimes I do chats and stuff like that where I don't want anybody to just see the entire office. But we got a fire going right here, and it's a nice bright day, so it's not a bad deal. But regarding going back to tradition, we're raising our kids to make sure that they understand that there is nothing that they're not going to be able to do with the right education. And when I say the right education, I'm not talking about going to school. Okay, I'm not talking about the government indoctrination camps that they put kids into these days. I'm talking about my 5-year-old son could build that fire right there, okay, with a torch. Okay, I mean, if he was strong enough, he'd be able to do it with a ferro rod. But I taught my 5-year-old son already how to stack the wood properly inside the thing, how to use fat wood, and how to make a fire. So all I have to do is give him the cut wood, and my son goes and makes a fire for me. I say, son, Dean, why do we cut wood? He goes, to heat the house, cook the food, and protect the women. That's what he says. We have 3 girls. And my wife, we have 2 dogs, 2 big dogs, and we've got chickens and deer and everything else. People say, Jeff, how come you don't kill more deer on your property? You've got a ton of deer. Why don't you kill the deer? And the fact is, we do kill the deer. As you can see, we got rifles and everything else, but we do kill the deer. But I tell them that meat doesn't spoil as long as it's on the hoof. Well, that deer's walking around out there feeling safe. It's not gonna that meat's not going anywhere. It's not gonna spoil. So we've got a plethora of deer out here. We've got a ton of elk. Just the other night we saw 5 or 6 or 7 elk walking right past the house. And I had literally 20 feet away from here the other just this morning, 20 feet away from my office window just this morning, I had 15, 20 turkeys. So there's a ton of game out here. It's January. We're getting chicken eggs right now. We're getting chicken eggs. All the hens are laying. So I don't understand that to save my life, but they are. All the hens are laying right now. So good time to be alive. And my goal with this channel is to, if you already have a property that you're able to do this on, fantastic. If you don't, I'm in finance. I like to help people get the education that they need to where they can live this lifestyle. Okay. And guys, we have to understand something real quick. I was in the World Trade Center whenever the planes hit. Okay. If you don't know this about me, I don't speak about this very much. I was in the World Trade Center whenever the planes hit in 9/11. And here's the thing. On that day, I ran out of my office. I saw a copy machine fly past my window on fire. I ran out of my office. I was on the 29th floor of the South Tower of Two World Trade, working for a company called Weatherly Securities. We're a corresponding equities division of Payne Weber. What all that means is I was training to be a stockbroker. I was 20 years old. And I saw a copy machine fly past my window on fire after hearing this thunderous sound on 9/11. And we all started running down the stairs. Some people wanted to wait for the elevator, not me. We were booking down the stairs as fast as we could. And we decided to, we all went out into Liberty Plaza, which is like if you imagine there's a south tower here and the north tower here. There's a plaza in the middle, okay? And so it's called Liberty Plaza, and that's where they had a stage there and stuff like that. The stage was completely demolished by people that were jumping out of the North Tower already, because it took us 15 minutes to get on the stairs, right? And all we saw, the entire Liberty Plaza was covered in Cantor Fitzgerald papers, right? It was just like covered in these papers, and most of my firm went back into the building out the other side, and Jimmy and I stayed there in one spot, and what ended up happening there was, as we're crossing the street, we started walking across the street. I don't remember I think it might have been Liberty Street. We're walking across Liberty Street, and Liberty Street or Church Street, I don't remember which, but we're walking across that street, and I just hear, and I look up, and that big fireball that you see, the big fireball that you see on television when the plane hit the South Tower, that big fireball that comes out, that was over our heads. Okay, we duck underneath this scaffold that's and we run into the Burger King that's right there. And when I turned around, all this stuff was raining down around us, concrete and steel and whatnot. We got underneath that scaffold, and we didn't get hit by anything, thank God. But we turned back around, and the street was just covered in broken concrete and steel. I remember that, those side panels on the World Trade Center, one was bent like that at a 45. It was stuck into a police van, into the windshield of a police van. People were walking around like zombies, with, the head just bleeding. People are laying in the streets. I mean, horrific sight. Never underestimate the power of evil, of what people are willing to do to other people for power and money. 2008 rolls around, and it was a different type of devastation. The big banks committed financial terrorism. Now, we've done a ton of investigation into this, and here's the thing: when you have an entire people that trust an economy, that trust a government, and they were able to manipulate us in such a way by making us all feel stupid, using big words that most people don't understand, and big financial terms that they think you're not educated enough to investigate. Most people don't. Because why? Because the media tells you, put your money into a 401k, all this BS. All right. And so here's the thing that, after September 11th, I went back in oil and gas and stuff like that, and financial advisory services. But 2008, the government screwed us, the banks screwed us. Okay. I mean, and I'm not even getting political yet, but the big deal here is that these guys knew what they were doing. Do you realize that they knew they were going to pull their money out? Okay. They calculated it, they conspired it, and they decided that, hey, when we pull our money out and put it into gold, so we're going to, as big banks, we're going to take all of our money out at the same time, put it into gold, and what's going to happen? The stock market's going to crash because the banks are taking their money into cash and buying gold with it. The stock market's going to crash and gold's going to spike. So what happens? The rest of the market follows suit. And as the rest of the market follows suit, these guys are using offshore accounts to short their own stocks, okay? Double to short their own stocks. Not only did they pull money out, they knew that their stocks were going to plummet. So they shorted their own stocks from overseas, okay? And made money on both ends. And everybody else followed suit. The rest of the entire market followed suit. They say, hey, we're going to go ahead and cash out and put our money into gold, just like the big banks did, because they must know something we don't. And so that's what they did as well. And gold skyrockets. The big banks made a fortune everywhere. And then here's the kicker. The American citizen pays the whole thing off. 100 cents on the dollar. Nobody goes to jail. But guess what happens? This is why we teach what we teach on this channel, and this is why you need to understand something right now. And if you're just coming on, you have to listen to this. We've been getting screwed over big time. Not only did they take the money out of the market, buy gold, and then short their own stocks and watch the rest of the market follow suit, and when their stocks plummeted, they made a fortune on both sides. Then they had you bail them out. Then the same banks that had you bail them out took your property, took your real estate. And they shorted the market, and when they pulled their money out, guess who paid it off? Your 401k. Your brother's 401k, your mom's 401k, your dad's 401k, your buddy's 401k. Everybody, all the mutual fund paid for it. They took the money and ran. Nobody goes to jail. And what happens after that? They make it to where now they were able to collect real assets because all the same banks, they decided to go ahead and collect on all the real estate. Oh, you have a real estate note? Note's due now or risk foreclosure. You see? Big problem. Big problem. This is all going to come to a head soon because let me tell you something. The banks are at this again. So why do we live out here in the mountains of Montana, getting back to traditional lifestyle? Because of this kind of stuff. We know ways that protect ourselves. All right. Some of those ways I'll be sharing on this channel. At the same time, you need to make sure that you understand how to provide for yourself, how to do simple stuff. Okay. Why do we have wood burning stoves? Well, we have propane furnace as well for inside the home, but we have 2 wood burning stoves. Why is that? I can cook food on that thing. I've got, I don't know, thousands of trees on the property, and I can use that thing to heat the house and cook the food, boil water, do whatever I need to do. I mean, that thing right there is just a fireplace for most people, and all it does is sit there and make heat. But I tell you another thing that it does, which is very, very important. If I put a pot of water on there, it's going to boil it. You know, most people don't understand that. That's not just it's not a kitchen stove, but it's a stove nonetheless. See? Sharpening knives, doing leather work. You know, I mean, most people don't realize, but most of the leather work that, if I have anything handy, most of the leather work that I have on property comes from my own hand. You know, this right here, I needed a way to carry my axe on my pack. Okay, that was something that was easier, something that could go on my belt as well. And so I just built this. You see, I mean, that's, you know, knowing how to do things, knowing how to. we're not going to get into total bushcraft and stuff like that on this channel, and how to survive in the wilderness and all that. There's 1,000 channels for that, and I think it's important to know. And I'm not saying that we're not going to have some stuff like that's going to show different things that we do. But I tell you, get yourself a good axe. This right here is a good axe. I did not make this sheath. It came with this sheath. This is called a Grand Forest Brooks. Okay, this is the Scandinavian small forest axe. It's one of the nicest axes you can buy. It's completely hand forged. All right, it's hand forged. And here's the thing I like about Grand Forest. You see that right there, that ES? That's that guy's initials. That's the initials of the man that forged this axe. So total accountability. I put this on there as a guard for the throat of the axe, to where if there is an overstrike, it's not gonna be too detrimental. I put this on there as a handhold. I can show you guys how to make these things. So look, here's the bottom line. It's important to know how to do things to protect your family and to keep your family safe. How many of you here have a family? You can just go ahead and comment in the deal. How many of you here have a family that you're looking after? Fantastic Situation says, crack on, traditional man, you legend. Keep traditioning, as long as that doesn't mean being racist or some shit. I don't even know what that means, dude. Is it like, I guess being traditional means being racist? No, that's not what it means, man. It doesn't mean being racist. It's I didn't know that was a traditional thing. See here. Okay, so none of you guys have families? All right, cool. So anyway, we're taking the channel off in this direction. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I'm big into permaculture, big into making properties that are awesome, make sense. I'm big into being able to grow your own food, right? And I regret not doing more videos of that back in the day. But I used to have, before we moved up here to Montana, outdoor gardens in Montana aren't really a thing. You kind of need a greenhouse for that, and we are building a greenhouse. But back in the day, man, I used to have like over 1,000 square feet of raised beds that provided all the fruit and provided all the vegetables for our family anyway. You can grow a lot of fruit in Montana. You grow stuff that has to be cold stratified, or stuff that needs to be, like apples and huckleberries and, cherries and plums and stuff like that up here. You can grow walnuts and in this area and all that stuff. So being out here in the mountains of Montana, you see there's Buck right there is our Anatolian Shepherd. He makes sure all the bears stay away when he's not crashed. But being able to grow food out here is a super important deal, and I hope that you stick around. And I hope that you hey, how you doing, Norman from Barbados? Thanks for coming on. I hope that you stick around and watch what it is that we're doing, and watch what it is that we have going on, because there's some stuff that people need to know to survive what's coming. And if you don't know what's coming, I think that you need to, you need to really understand what is happening in this world, because most people are just floating on by like nothing's ever gonna happen, and we're just gonna be here forever, and this is just all gonna end well and stuff like that. Let me tell you something. This is not. Nothing here is gonna end well. All right. Nothing in this economy, nothing in this country is going to get better before it gets worse. Okay, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I promise you. And I'm not talking about politically. Okay, we have been doing extraordinarily well in this country in the past couple of years, and this country's gotten a lot stronger in the past couple of years. I don't have anything bad to say about that. But what I'm telling you is that the powers that be, and if you don't understand this concept, the powers that be in this country and in this world want you enslaved. And we show you on this channel how to not be enslaved. Okay. And if you come on here and you jump right off, like some idiot that just, oh, give me LA any day, kind of bullshit, this channel isn't for you, right? This channel isn't for you. This channel is about people that have the common sense to come in and understand that, hey, look, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our own. We need to understand how to do that. Okay, we need to understand the traditional roles of a family, because that's the way it functions the best. Okay, it's set up that way. Why? Because you know what? As a man, I've got stuff that I need to be doing outside, and I don't need kids hanging out with me. Okay, I show my son how to do things. He's 5 years old. As a man, I need to get things done. I need to protect the household, and I need to, make sure that we provide for heat, and we provide for food and stuff like that. Okay, and women are just, let's face it, better with kids. Okay, so if you think that oh, men and women are the same thing, channel's probably not for you either. You might get offended, because men and women are not the same thing. They did scientific tests to tell you that men and women are not the same in any way whatsoever, including in their brains. And so if you think that men and women are the same, they should be doing the same work, it just doesn't work out that way in the real world. I'm in the, outside of a city. Outside of a city, stuff just doesn't fly, because guess what? My wife can't go cut down a tree and chop it up and use chainsaws and all that stuff and still raise children. Okay, it's just not. It just doesn't work. That's right, Norman. Norman says it's time to leave the cities and learn. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help people leave cities. We're here to help people, take land and turn land into something awesome, and make it to where that they can create a true sustainable lifestyle from the land that they hold. So you guys in USA are going to get hit pretty hard, because around 80% are currently caught up on the system. I'm not quite sure what that means, Norman. 80% caught up on the system. I'd say that most people here in the United States are absolute morons, and they just don't understand what's going on. Everybody's watching Netflix and soaking up what the mainstream media is giving them, and all that. So they're most people in this country have no clue that how important the stuff on this channel actually is, and they're walking off, and they're walking off into hell. I mean, blindly, just following their ramrods wherever they go, and that's all they care about, is just feeding the next addiction, right? Like these stupid things, and YouTube, they're just feeding the next addiction. I get on YouTube so I can learn things, and I think that's how people should use this resource. Most people get on there to play games, right? If you're coming onto YouTube for any other reason than to learn, like you said, then you're probably one of the sheep out there. We show people how not to be part of that sheep system anymore. You know what I mean? But I appreciate your participation, man. And yeah, so if that's what you meant, okay, cool. Around 80% of Americans are totally dependent on the okay. Yeah, that's right, dude. I mean, yeah, so 80% are totally dependent on the government and politicians in some way. And so the government and politicians that we have here, I'm not gonna say that they're better than other places, but as far as corruption's concerned, I'm going to say that it's not as out in the open, but yeah, man, the whole system has been designed. Y'all need to read this. Y'all need to read this book, okay? And if you want to, you can go on Amazon and pick up my book called Smart Wealth Secrets They Don't Want You to Know. It covers a lot of this stuff in there pretty quick. But check this book out. It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island, and it tells you it's an extraordinary book. It's historical fact as to how the politicians and the banks got together, not just in this country, but in countries around the world, going back to not the Federal Reserve, but the Rothschilds when the central banking started. Okay, over in England. So whenever we talk about, who's dependent on what here, I would say higher than 80%. Honestly, Norman, I would say it's higher because most people are waiting on the economy to get better to change their lives. And let me tell you something. This is the best economy you're ever going to see in this country. This is it. This is it. This is the best economy you're ever going to see. And it's not going to get any better from here. I'm not saying they can't inflate some numbers here or there. Guys, we've got more jobs than we have people looking for jobs right now. Okay, that's the first time that's ever happened in, like, I don't know, man, since the 50s or something. So it's during the biggest boom in American history was after World War II. This is where we are right now economically. I mean, it's huge and it's growing. But guys, we've been on a 10-year run. This thing's going to come crashing down. All right, and it's going to make 2008 look like a brandy-soaked afternoon with Mrs. Robinson. Okay, it's gonna be like, yeah, well, that's, feel a little bit bad about that happening, but wasn't that bad compared to what's fixing to happen. You see what I'm saying? And that's right, Norman. Norman said, when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches the cold. My wife is from Mexico, and she says that same thing. When America sneezes, the rest of the world catches the cold. So, why is that important? It's important because, look, man. Look, I'm going to show you something right now. You see that out there? You see all that? That's, part of the property. Okay? That's part of the property. That's what we're looking at. That's outside of this window. I'll show you outside of this other window here. Let's see if you can see that stuff. That's the view. Okay, out of the office window. Now, you need to get there. You need to get to a place whereby you're not going to be dependent upon these politicians, upon the economy. All right. Well, and how do we do that? Well, we get a property. We pay the property off quick. How do you do that? Well, we'll share that later on, because that's a much longer conversation. Get a property, pay the property off, and you move the property into something that's not connected to you. Okay, we get into that later as well. Then we make sure that the property is inside of an entity that's owned by an entity that you control, that you will never lose control of, ever, as long as you live. And after that, it's willed to the next person that you want to control it. Okay. What takes place is that we can make the property tax-free. Okay, so we make it to where the government cannot take your property from you with property taxes. How would you like to be able to retire with no property taxes? Pretty cool stuff, right? So there's ways to do that. There's ways to do that for sure. So we teach those things because guess what, man? We can sit here like a lot of these guys on YouTube and talk about all the cool, axes and all the cool, how to chop firewood stuff all day long. But man, if you sit here, Norman, don't sell your house to get out of debt. That's absurd, unless you don't like that house. Instead of talking about just about axes and stuff like that, guys, financial life, whether you like it or not, is a part of is just a part of provision. It's a part of providing for your family. Okay, and we show you how to do this. Norman, unless you're a financial advisor with 20 years experience, that does this, that unless you don't like the house, to get out of debt is it depends on who you listen to. If you listen to Dave Ramsey, don't. But in regards to being able to make sure that your family stays well prepared, stays safe during these times, we're going to be sharing stuff like this. Okay, we're going to be sharing stuff like this, and it's some of it's going to be financial, some of it's going to be highly practical, some of it's going to be like, hey, you know what? How do you get a 140-pound Labrador Retriever that hates bears and wolves? This guy right here, right? I mean, we chose this kind of dog for a reason, because he's a big puppy, he's a big lap dog, and he's huge. I mean, the size of this guy. Look, it's Buck. Say hi, Buck. Hi, Buck. See? So here's the deal. This is all encompassing. Okay, it's all encompassing. By the way, are you prepping at all? Guys, go to your go to Costco. You know how to prep? It's this simple. All right, go to Costco and get yourself a bunch of beans and a bunch of rice. Pinto beans, rice, black pepper, and salt. Let me tell you something. You can make some meal out of that for quite a long time. You have a property like we have out here, what's going to happen? It's going to end up, if you need some meat, there's deer. If you want to process the meat, you want to save it, you need to understand how to smoke, how to cure. Okay, smoking and curing are the same thing. How to brine, how to can, right? You want to be able to jar your food. You want to be able to keep food indefinitely. And look, here's the thing. If you put some of this stuff together and you've got these you've got these jars of deer meat and with vegetables in it and everything else, and you got these let's say the shit hits the fan. Are you really going to be that upset that, oh man, all I have to eat are these wonderful jars of already cooked deer meat and onions and whatnot, and full of flavor in here, and then we can talk about adding some beans and rice to that, right? So those things right there are, I mean, man, that's a good meal. It's got tons of protein, tons of carbs, tons of fiber. It's awesome. It's everything that you're going to need. Oh, by the way, our well here is absolutely superb, man. I mean, it's killer. All right, talk about diversified financial strategies here, because most find you are already prepped up. The world was very different in 21 months or so. John, you're absolutely correct. I don't know that most people that find me here are already prepped up. Maybe you are. I find that most people that come here are enthusiasts that are searching. So whether you're already prepped up or not, or just searching, then that's two different things, right? But I think we get a lot of both, honestly. So regarding diversified financial strategies, why do you say diversified? If you're a fan of Dave Ramsey, then there's going to be I've read all of his stuff, and I know what happened to his clients in 2008. They lost 40% of their retirement savings, but yet Dave still tells you to put money into a mutual fund and into a 401k, because it's still he's like, even though the plane crashed, airlines are still the safest way to fly, or safest way to travel statistically. that's horseshit. I mean, because it's not that one airplane crashed. It's not that one stock went down. It's not that one mutual fund went belly up. It was an entire rigged system. Okay. So what kind of things do you want to put your money into? Well, number one, you want to own your property. All right. So you want to own the property. Number two, now look, guys, if you go on my other channels on Benny Shield or Smart Wealth or stuff like that, then there's yeah, okay. All right, good, John. Well, we're on the same page then. So yeah, money, tradables, metals, yes. I like to, and John, I'm sure you'll agree with this, silver, junk silver, and when we can, we buy the monster boxes of silver. Okay, so the monster boxes of silver are the 500 round boxes of silver that you do your midnight gardening with. Okay, you can get those online. It's a big green box. It comes with 500 eagles in it, or whatever coin you want to purchase. Junk silver is good. As far as tradables are concerned, depending on where you live, but I would say 22 ammunition. 17 HMR ammunition, but 22s are cheaper and they're a lot more versatile, I find. We have a bunch of 17 HMR. I'll show you what that looks like if you don't already know. I think most people probably do. We've got a whole box of it right here. So I went on gunbroker.com and just bought, because I don't use the 17 a lot. But I mean, look, I just got this entire box. Okay, and I'm not going to show you all my prep stuff, right? Because that's not what preppers do. but I will tell you that, and if anybody tries to come take our stuff, that is at your own peril. But that's what you're looking at right there, 17 HMR. Now, 17 HMR, 20. I killed my first deer with a 22 rifle. All right, 17 HMR. Don't shoot it behind the shoulder, but it will. If you shoot it in the neck, top of the neck, whatever, you can kill a doe with that, no problem. Okay, 17 HMR is going to pack a punch, especially at close range. But look, man, ammunition is a big deal. It's gonna, when the shit hits the fan, ammunition is going to be your best friend, and you're going to want thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of rounds to be able to have on hand. You can buy all this stuff online, and it keeps forever, man. I mean, I was shooting this past summer. I shot 22 rounds that I found from 20 years ago, probably 30 years ago. Some of them, honestly, they're a little bit corroded on the outside, but doesn't matter. I mean, it's stuff all look. This right here is a 22 rifle that I've had. It was my dad's. Okay, I remember when I was 5 years old, my dad was squirrel hunting with this gun, and so the 22 rifle right here is this thing is super reliable, lever action, and I'll tell you what, man, this thing is taking out more squirrels and varmints. And if I need to kill a coyote, there's some deer out there right now. If I need to kill a coyote, I can do it with this. I mean, this is a great little Winchester. Okay, and this gun's, I don't know, I'd say this gun's probably 45 years old, maybe. I know my dad had it before I was born, and I'm going to be 39 soon. So, super reliable, especially these older models with these wooden stocks, right? Because you're not going to crack that wooden stock just unless you treat it like a boat paddle, which I hope you would not do. But you're not going to crack that wooden stock, okay? And so you want to go ahead and just keep a bunch of ammo on hand, and in different calibers, for different things. You don't need 40 different hunting rifles, okay? I shoot a 270 and a 7 mag, so I'm not going to go get all types of different ammo and type, for every rifle that I own. I own a bunch of different rifles, but I don't need to stock up as much 243 as I do for 270 or 7 mag. Why? Because there's nothing small enough to kill out here with a 243. You know, I could use it for a whitetail rifle, but I could also use a 270. So where we're getting down to is cost. You know, we're getting down to, well, what's cheaper to shoot? Well, the 243 is cheaper to shoot, but then again, if it's far and, you know, we got big deer out here in Montana, I'd rather shoot the 270, you know. So you can do all of these things, but as far as tradables are concerned, I'd say primarily, you know, you're going to want to stock the stuff you can stock up on. I would stock up on on ammo, on ammo, because, you know, look, people can't eat silver. You see, I mean, have silver, but people can't eat silver. You know, silver is going to be for purchases and larger trades and stuff like that. But you're not going to go and trade ammo for something that you can't eat as well. You see what I'm saying? So you need to be able to discern that within yourself and say, okay, well, I'm gonna keep some of this stuff on hand. So that's John. I appreciate you bringing that up. That's a really good point for the types of things that we need to be focused on as far as, you know, prepping and things of that nature, and what strategy we're going to be utilized to be able to fund ourselves in an economy that may just be a local economy. So speaking of that, growing food. Okay. Do you live in an area that can sustain you growing food outside for, like I used to in South Mississippi or South Louisiana? You had the 8-month growing season or more. You know, where, you know, you can just save seed, or do you need a greenhouse, right? We need a greenhouse here in Montana. That's the one thing about living out here that, see, John said was also in 9/11, left and started a new life 8 months after the dust settled. I hear you, man. Um, but being able to grow your own food, being able to, you know, have a sustainable source of the vitamins and stuff that you need. When we're talking about prepping, you know, get a warehouse, get something, not a warehouse you have to go to, but when you get land, get a Connex box, a trailer, something like that, you know, like a rail car type thing, or just just a shipping container, and just store, buy stuff by the pallet, you know, and keep the mice out of it. There's a bunch of stuff you can buy online. You know, we keep stuff like this on hand as well because it doesn't grow here, right? And I'd rather not take up it's a root, and I'd rather not take up the space in a greenhouse to grow it when I can just buy this entire thing. I can buy for $12, you know, and that's not buying it by the pallet. You know, through a company, I can buy it wholesale and just buy it by the pallet at a time. You know, other stuff like, not this specifically, but you know, superfood, you know, stuff like that. I mean, this stuff's really good for you, and it's just really great. As you know, I take it in the morning, but there are powders that contain all the vitamins and all the minerals and all the nutrients that you're going to need. Okay, where, you know, if you need to, you put it in some water and it's going to supplement you. Okay, it's called 90 for Life. It's made by a company called Longevity. It's called I think it's called Tangy Tangerine or something like that. But you know, you can buy these things by the pallet. I remember a friend of mine was a distributor for those guys, and he got Alex Jones, of all people, underneath him in his distributorship. And it is an MLM product. It's a fantastic product. I love it. And when Alex Jones put it out on the radio, made him a fortune. And what happened is that people were buying this stuff by the pallet to prep with, you know. And so it's, you know, when we're, you know, people want to store dry food and stuff like that, which is fine. I would never store dry, those individually packed meals and all that, especially not MREs. Do not keep MREs. All right. MREs are going to do nothing for you in a survival scenario for a long period of time. People that have these bunkers full of MREs they're never going to go to the bathroom ever. An MRE has chemicals in it basically that keep you from going to the bathroom. I don't know if you know that or not, but an MRE has stuff inside of it that keeps you from going to the bathroom. So if you don't want that to happen, which you don't want that to happen, don't stock up on MREs. Stock up on natural foods and stock up on the vitamins that your body actually needs. Okay, the vitamins and the minerals that your body actually needs. Dr. Joel Wallach wrote a book called "Dead Doctors Don't Lie," and when he wrote that book, it was kind of groundbreaking because he became a veterinarian. He was a medical doctor and became a vet. Is what happened, and he grew up on a cattle ranch. And he asked his dad. He said, "Dad, why do we give the animals all of these minerals, but we don't take them ourselves?" He said, "Well, if we don't give them to the animals, our beef's going to be $200 a pound just because all the vet bills, or they're going to die or get sick or whatever the case is." Well, he started looking into that a little further and decided that nutrition is absolutely everything. And I know that's a big term. That's say, well, of course nutrition's everything, but look at what you're eating right now. You're probably not getting very many enzymes in your diet that actually digest the food that's going into your body. So how much nutrition are you actually getting? Everything you have is either is processed, cooked, pasteurized, or whatever the case is. Okay, so if you're eating, if you go and get a hamburger somewhere, unless you've got raw lettuce on that or raw tomato on that hamburger, there's not a live enzyme in that whole thing that's going to make it digest itself. You get that from living foods. Okay, so set yourself up in a situation with permaculture that's going to allow you to grow a food forest. And what is a food forest? A food forest, I want you to imagine the Garden of Eden, when instead of having a forest out there, just hardwoods or pines, I want you to imagine being able to set yourself up in a situation, not an orchard, it's different, but you've got multiple types of different fruits growing at different canopy levels, all designed to where when you walk through, there's different things coming into fruit at different times. Okay, but it's an absolutely its own living entity. It's its own forest. It's literally a forest, but you set it up like the Garden of Eden, where the stuff on the ground you can eat and the stuff coming out of the trees you can eat too. You see, and then you can, it doesn't matter if it's apples, persimmons, pears, plums, peaches. It doesn't matter. You can grow all that stuff in there, depending on the climate that you're in, and just have it all coming into season, coming into fruit at different times. You see, and that not only attracts the wildlife with trust me, you might not want pigs on your property right now, but if you end up in a situation where the economy's crashed and stuff like that, you're going to want pigs on your property because it's going to be a great source of protein. Let's see, health ranger store, yeah. Yeah, that's all good stuff, John. That's all good stuff. When we're looking at a food forest type scenario, basically you set yourself up in a way that hey, you can always go into the woods and find something to eat. Right now, over here in Montana, we have a longer winter than most people. So and short growing seasons and stuff like that. So I mean, sometimes those things may work over here, sometimes they may not, depending on what the variety of fruit is. I know this much: over here you need a deer fence for it. But at the same time, this isn't the only property that we have either. All those things, brother: goats, pigs, chickens, meat, rabbits. So all of those things take resources to feed, right? So I think that meat rabbits are awesome. They're, but they can all die on you pretty quick. So we're talking about tradables earlier. We have chickens. We got wild turkeys. So I'm not gonna. I'd rather kill a wild turkey if I want to eat a bird than one of my chickens that makes an egg every day. You see. I just had 20 turkeys sitting outside my window this morning. So there's a ton of turkeys out here, and I'd rather kill deer, elk, something that's not producing for me every day, that it's going to feed me for a long time, rather than kill a chicken that can make an egg every day, right? And unless you're on a farm and you're set up specifically for breeding chickens and doing all that stuff, okay, and in a situation whereby they can be fed all year as well. Where we are, basically we can stack up hay and feed rabbits all season. We can't feed goats all season. We can't feed pigs all season, because we're just not on farmland. We're on our land has a lot of timber and a lot of animals. But rabbits, we could totally do rabbits. We could totally do rabbits if we needed it for meat or whatever. But again, we've got enough large game for meat. But I think that rabbits are great for most people. I do. And goats, if you can, if during the summertime you can go out there and stack up enough feed during the summer to make sure that your goats are fed all year. I tell you another thing. I wanted to get into this is a fodder. Okay, so. Um, That's right. When they stop laying, those chickens get eaten. Yeah, that's it. But fodder for goats and chickens, you can grow barley pretty easily. Okay, and what you can do with that barley is that you grow that barley, and you can sprout that barley uh, during the winter. You can sprout it, and solar systems and stuff like that. And not solar systems, but what I'm talking about, solar power. The You can utilize that for light and stuff like that. And look it up. Look up fodder, and we'll do a video on it, because I'm gonna get into fodder, because it's something I've been meaning to do, and I want to start growing microgreens anyway. Super super nutrient dense. What happens is when you have a barley seed, or any kind of grain seed like that, that's only about 20% of its nutrition is actually available whenever the animal eats it. If you sprout that same seed, not in any soil at all, you're not trying to grow it, you're trying to sprouting it. When you sprout that same seed, what's going to happen is that the the mineral is going to be about 80% more bioavailable. It's going to be 80% bioavailable as opposed to 20% bioavailable just from sprouting it. You see, so it makes your food go a lot farther for your animals. And so you can do this in the wintertime. So you just lay it out in a tray. Okay, so you're just going to lay a layer of seeds, a thin layer of seeds out in a tray, water it, and put in a rack. Let them start to germinate. Once they start to germinate, they're going to come up a little bit, and then you turn the lights on, and they're going to grow toward that light. Okay, and it's going to make a seed mat. Okay, that mat is going to be just the roots going to make a mat within themselves, and there's no substrate, no soil in this at all. All right, there's nothing dirty. You just put that seed in there. It's pretty cool stuff, and then you can take that and feed your milk goats with it, and then from there you can get milk or whatever the case is. You can even raise goats to eating size that way as well. But then again, that's going to take land that you can harvest your crops on. This land that we have is not as good in this part of the country. This property is not as good for that for growing row crops in that way. I mean, just where we are down in the valley, yes. Down in the valley, yes. Now my entire property is walkable. It's just not arable. So down in the valley, they're growing corn and canola and everything else down there. But where we are right here, it's just not conducive to that. They're growing good hay and all that stuff down there, and alfalfa and everything else. But where we are, I'd have to go down there to get it, which is not a problem. We do it. We're glad to do it. They actually bring it up here to you if you want it. But we'd be back in the day going after, hitching up the horses into an old buckboard, right, and going down to town and getting the stuff that we need. How far we've come. It doesn't take us any time at all to go 20 miles nowadays back to town, but whenever things start getting hard, you're gonna wish that a lot of that stuff was closer. You know what I mean? Now the good thing about being outside of town is that whenever it does hit the fan, you're only going to be looking at people typically are only going to walk around 7 miles outside of any town. And when I say town, you got to realize that the closest town to us has less than 40,000 people. So it's and it's over 20 miles away. So people are only going to walk about 7 miles outside of town before they'll give up and start doing things elsewhere. And so it's, guys, I want you to realize how close this can be to you. I grew up in South Louisiana. I grew up in New Orleans, and I grew up in Lafayette. And I was living in Durango, Colorado at the time of Hurricane Katrina. And during Hurricane Katrina, I went back south, and my now brother-in-law had just bought a piece of property in Mississippi. Okay, he's from New Orleans, and he just bought a piece of property in Mississippi, 10 acres, for pretty cheap price back then. It was around $5,000 an acre. I want you to understand something. During Hurricane Katrina, some people went 90 days without any way to get their own food or water, without the government giving it to them. Okay, if they lived in a part of Mississippi that got wiped out, they were living in a FEMA trailer. Savvy? Other people in Mississippi in that same area that lived a little bit higher land, that had their own solar panels and had their own chickens and their own stuff set up, and their own economy, basically. They just turned the lights on. They just started using the solar power. Not a big deal. I want to show y'all something real quick, and just in case y'all think I'm full of it about what we see every day out here. Look at this. See that? Through my dirt window there. There you go. That is that little guy right there is a yearling, and that's his mama walking over there on the other side of the house. They're just looking for old chicken feed and stuff like that. And so anyway, that's 24/7. 24/7. It's like we're living in a petting zoo over here. People were 90 days without a way to supply for themselves. People that were prepared just went on business as usual, right? And so I want you to be in the situation where if something happens in your area, this isn't in case of the apocalypse, okay? I'm not going to tell you to try to outlast God. All right, that's not gonna happen. If whatever you believe in prophecy takes place, if you believe in that stuff at all takes place, if you believe any of that stuff, you're not going to get around most of that. Okay, you're especially not going to get around the end result. But local problems happen all the time. Tsunamis happen all the time. Volcanoes, we just saw last week, like 3 eruptions. There's, look, I live probably 8 hours from Yellowstone. Now, where I chose my property, still in the state of Montana. If you look at where a plume would go now from Yellowstone, it would drift drift to the east into the south. Okay, would be more covered in ash than this area in Washington State, and in northern Idaho. Okay, but again, we're these are calculated risks. Okay, what we're there, no matter where you are, there's going to be something that can happen. Down south, where I used to live, where I grew up, hurricanes, man. Hurricanes took out people for days at a time, months at a time, and they had it to where they had to. The people just weren't prepared. And look, the guys that got their houses wiped away and stuff like that, God bless them. That stuff was bad. It really was. It was a bad deal. But there needs to be a spot where people can go, and where you can go to make sure that is going to be okay. And you're going to be able to tune into this channel and see the signs. The signs are already everywhere. Okay, you just got to know what to look for. But on this channel, I intend on keeping everybody up to date with the stuff that we see coming. If that's something that you want to, everybody just give me a little shout out real quick in the comments if you want to. He's whining at the deer. If you want me to go over stuff like that, if you want me to talk about stuff like that in the future as to what we see coming in the economy, what we see coming in the in the world, what we need to prep for and stuff like that, is that something that you want to hear? I'll just go ahead and give a like or smiley face or something in the comments if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, thanks, Dingo. Okay, well, anyway, the thing is that we have tons of stuff out there. Okay, cool, guys. Yeah, thank you for participating. The thing is, when we have these events take place, we're looking at a situation that nobody expects, is my point. It doesn't have to be some catastrophic nation-ending deal. It doesn't have to be a meteor. It doesn't have to be a it doesn't have to be a solar flare that takes out our entire electrical grid. It only has to be a natural disaster. Can take your local area out for months. You see, are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be set up? Are you going to be in a bind? Right. So, guys, getting a little long-winded here. So we're right at an hour right now. Thank you so much for your time. God bless y'all. And I think that and I hope you like the direction that this channel's headed. Okay. Again, thanks very much for your time, y'all. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.